We are approaching the top of the hour, Lauren. So in the interest of time, I'm going to start our live conversation. Thanks very much, everyone, for joining. Great to see so many of you here. What are we here to talk about today? Well, how many times have you said or you've heard, I just don't have enough time? Most people don't think they're prioritizing well enough. And even when they do, they've got so much to do. There's lots on your to-do list. And what it means is that we don't find the time to prioritize the things that are important to us. And for us, one of those really important things is our health. And we don't think about it because we often think about prioritization. So I just want to introduce ourselves. I'm Eric Ho. I'm joined by one of the co-founders of Well Leaders, Lauren and Jalil. We are here joining from London and Stockholm. And we at Well Leaders offer leadership coaching, training and support to help equip leaders like you, inspire your teams, lead with authenticity, and most importantly of all, be healthy. We help leaders be well leaders. So why are we having this conversation today, Lauren?
Yeah, thanks for that, Eric. And I'm really glad to be here with you. And hi to everyone watching. And if they do have any comments in the chat, more than welcome to put them in and we can respond to them here. So why are we here? I think, Eric, both you and I, we work with a lot of really busy people. They're managing a lot of things at one time, and often they put a lot of pressure on themselves to get a lot of things done. They almost see themselves as like superheroes, and I'm not sure why they see themselves as superheroes, because actually I think we're all just human. But I'm also picturing that Spider-Man picture of where he's just in regular life doing his usual thing, and then suddenly he's called and he needs to jump into action and save something. And I think that that's or someone, and I think that's often what our clients experience too. Of they feel like they're always needing to be on and needing to help or be in assistance of everyone around them, that it's very difficult to carve out time for themselves, and they just keep wishing that they had more time for themselves. And I think one thing I hear a lot of people talk about is this idea of, well, this person is clearly not prioritizing their health and well-being. And I don't think it's actually about prioritization. It's more about permission. I wonder, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I think what I hear, and I've experienced this myself, is we get caught up in our to-do lists. I think when I was really busy, thinking of the times when the piles of envelopes coming through the door remained unopened, and I think it's easy to fall into that trap of thinking that we perhaps aren't prioritizing well enough. Or that we don't have enough time. And, one of the things that, we want to share with you today is how we can deal with this, really insidious challenge differently.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you use that word trap, because I think that's how people feel when they come to us. They're feeling like they're stuck. Maybe they're stuck on the treadmill of navigating things in life, and they're almost in the sense that they're unable to shift into the space of being rather than doing. And doing is so rewarding. I think both you and I, Eric, we know how much doing is very rewarding. We love that reward that it brings, and that adrenaline that it brings in terms of ticking things off. It's so satisfying to cross something off of your to-do list. But I think more and more people are seeing, and we've both experienced, that it's not worth it in the long run. If we continue with that, it's counterproductive, and I think short-sighted, because it's definitely not an investment in our own health and well-being.
Yeah, there's a thought there, Lauren, that the more we can get done, the more we can tick off things on our to-do list, the more productive we feel. But often it results in feeling de-energized and feeling a lack of enjoyment about what you're actually doing. So I'm curious, Lauren, we're here today, and I'm just going to invite people who are with us live to post into chat some of the challenges that they're facing with a lack of time, perhaps, or having to get through your to-do list. What is a better way of approaching this, Lauren?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you asked that. And I think the element around permission is so important. And I'll share a story of a friend that I know who has, she's a manager of a team, and she works incredibly hard. She loves what she does. She's very passionate about producing quality work. And I think a lot of our clients are similar in that they're really passionate about their work and they want to lead well. And she, during lockdown, she got caught up in getting to work. I mean, getting to work, it's her desk in her bedroom, probably getting to work, sitting down at 7 a.m. and then only finishing around 9 p.m. And it was a shock for her when she came back out of lockdown and back into the office that people around her weren't doing the same. So she saw that everyone was leaving at 5 o'clock, and she was like, wait, what is happening here? Am I the only one? And really being able to take yourself out of, I think, the bubble that you find yourself in, and look around you to what are other people doing? What is the status quo here? What expectation am I putting on myself above everyone else's? And I find so often people set themselves up to an extremely high expectation, whereas they wouldn't ever think about setting their friends up to that expectation, or their team members for that matter.
And I think the way in which we focus on what's important for us, and that might be for some of you, and for us, health. It might be spending time with your family. It might be going for a run during the day, or just going outside and having a break. Those things can feel really important, but there's a tension when you kind of want to do those things, and it's all the other things that then seem to take priority. So this concept of permission we want to share with you today is really like a gift of permission. And it really shifts your mindset from thinking about the to-do list that you need to get through to how can you give yourself permission to focus on the things that are really important for you.
Yeah, and I love what Francis and Laura are saying in the chat now. Francis, you see that I feel I can laugh at how ridiculous it is that we will never get through our to-do list. Yeah, they just keep on increasing. And so why do we still torture ourselves instead of allowing our list simply to be our friends? And I think it's something that we both do, Eric, at the beginning of the week, going through some of our wins from last week, and then only setting about 2 or 3 things that we'd like to do that week that seem important to us. The rest falls away. I know, Eric, you have a not right now list, and that list is crucial. So putting things on the not right now list and really just focusing on 1 or 2 things, but then giving yourself permission to do something for yourself each day. And Eric, I want to ask you, what do you think that would give to someone if they did give themselves permission to do something for themselves each day?
Yeah, I think there's a really important point here, because the conventional approach of just getting through your to-do list. Oh, well, I've got to get these reports out. I've got to review this document, and I've got to go for a run. All of those things are on one's to-do list. And there's a danger that the things that are important to us kind of get postponed to the next day. It's a bit like my unopened letters when I was really busy. But when we give ourselves permission to look down that list and think about what permission we can give ourselves to do something, it can be really as simple as that. And I think in my own experience, it's really that sense of satisfaction and kind of tapping back into, what's good about being a human being, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Lauren.
No, I was just remarking on just allowing yourself to settle in and slow down and take a 1 or 2 breaths. And I think there's also something here around trusting trusting yourself to deal with what's coming next, and allowing yourself the space and the freedom to do something for yourself. It's I think we've also spoken about this before, Eric, about having those in the shower moments, those like amazing brain waves that you have when you get really creative, when you're not doing anything productive. And this, I think, it's such a missed opportunity if you're on that train of ticking off those to-do lists, because you're not having that space for those that neural network to solidify your thoughts and think of new ideas and come up with things that are innovative and creative. And that's a real benefit for leaders to have that in their back pocket. And the fundamental part of that is you need to give yourself permission to switch off and relax and do something really purposeless.
So what do we do? I'm still back in my list of things I have to do. How do I use permission? Because I'm guessing there are a few people who are wondering now, well, how does this permission work in practice? How do I find that joy and connect with things that are fun to give myself a boost during the day and actually take away some of the stress of having to work through a long to-do list?
Yeah, so one of the things that I think, these really quick things that you can do, is just take 5 minutes out and do something that you love. And so many people, I think, don't trust themselves to know what's good for them. And they're always seeking people like experts in the health field of like, so what do I do to make me happy? You know what you need to do to make you happy. Just there's so many things that I think you could probably write down right now, things that spark joy and make you feel alive and playful. Write those things down and just pick one and do 5 minutes of it. And Eric, I want you to share your experience of taking through people through an interactive webinar when you did something like this.
Yeah, that was last week, and I ran a webinar for a group of female leaders in the insurance industry. And we had about 100 people join. And one of the things I did was ask each of them to take 5 minutes out of the webinar. And this is about halfway through, 20 minutes in, and take 5 minutes to switch off your device and do something that would make you happy. The only other instructions I gave were that it couldn't be illegal or dangerous. And it was fascinating what came back. There's no need for us to say, this is what you need to do. Everyone has their own compass, their own North Star to tell them what would make them happy. And so when we regrouped, some of the people were sharing what they did in those 5 minutes. And it ranged from someone who didn't have time in the morning to do their hair. They took 5 minutes to do that. Someone had bought cricket tickets for the Oval match coming up. Another person had bought a book. Another person read a book. And the message that we want to convey today is that's really just 5 minutes out of your day. Everyone has 24 hours in a day, but giving yourself permission, that gift of permission for 5 minutes, it might be 2 minutes, to do something that makes you happy or that supports the things that are really important to you. It might be going and having a hug with your child or your parent or your other half, a friend even. Those moments can really boost our oxytocin levels. As we know, if you hug someone, it puts you in a really good mood. So these things can be really simple, really time efficient for hard-pressed people who are hard-pressed for time. And we really encourage you to try it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing those really practical tips, Eric. And it seemed like it was, even though it was only 5 minutes, those 5 minutes really supported someone in their life, like doing their hair or finding time to book tickets to watch a rugby match or a cricket match. I think those kinds of things, it's not actually serving you in the moment right now, but future happiness and joy that you get for it is increased. And I see here, Laura, you said that your husband, Ben, has said that he's giving himself permission to get properly ready for a really busy day tomorrow. And I think that giving yourself permission now to enhance your life later is really great. So you know that you'll set the day up well tomorrow. And it might only just take that 5 minutes to start that day well. Eric, I have another example that I think is really relevant here. And I think, so our first tip is give yourself permission, but I think we also know that giving ourselves permission is really difficult. So we've also been speaking about this idea of giving others permission. So instead of giving yourself permission, what does it look like to give other people permission, people in your family or in your team, permission to take time out for themselves? And a great example my husband shared with me last week is started a new job. He's really enjoying it, but at the end of a meeting, they had about 5-10 minutes left with the team leader. And at the end of the meeting, the team leader said, "We've got 10 minutes left and it's a beautiful day outside. I really hope you all can take a walk out today and spend 10 minutes in the sunshine." And I think that was a perfect example of a leader showing up and saying, you know what, this is a great time for you to take some time out for yourself and go enjoy it. And knowing that that will help them with showing up in a way that they really want to at work later.
That's a really good reminder of why we're doing what we're doing, Lauren. You know, we say that health transforms leadership and leadership transforms health. And those small moments where we can give other people in our team, other people who, you know, might be at home with us, a moment to themselves, it's really a gift to give someone else some time that they might otherwise be on autopilot, getting through their to-do lists. I can see, Francis, you're talking about that sense of the unconscious pressure we're putting on ourselves. You know, it frees someone up for a moment to really rejuvenate. And, you know, we know from coaching psychology that these small things, these small wins, have an outsized effect on our ability to show up with more resilience and space and grace for the people who are around us.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Eric. And I think that the last tip that we have, and this theme of permission around here, is all around. So if you can give yourself permission, you can ask someone else. I mean, you can give permission to someone else, but you can also ask someone to give you permission to have time out. And I think this is a different kind of element. And I really encourage you all, if you have a business partner or team members, to have a conversation with what would giving yourself 5 minutes a day to do something for yourself do for your business practice. And then set up maybe a bit of accountability of how can you give each other permission to take time off. Eric, what do you think that could do for people?
Well, we see it with the clients we work with. You know, they're compassionate people. They really look after the people who they're leading, and they want to do right by them. And often that comes at the sacrifice of their own priorities, particularly around their health. So they'll pull out the stops to cover for someone. You know, their own mental health might suffer in order to ensure that the team are really staying on the right track. And it's at those moments, those really selfless leaders, selfless, you know, compassionate people who really deserve the time for themselves. And when we're in that space of feeling awkward or feeling that it's difficult to give ourselves that permission, getting someone else to give us that permission is a really great way of overcoming that sense of awkwardness and difficulty. Now, I think you had a great idea that we were talking about earlier this morning, Lauren, about how to get someone else to you know, have a chat and maybe hold each other accountable for giving each other permission.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other strategy that you could use for yourself is asking yourself, what would you say to a friend if they're going through a really hectic time? It was clear that they needed to take some time off. How might you support them? And what would you say to them? Because we set ourselves to these ridiculously high standards, and we would never set our friends to them. And I'm sure often if you're like wanting to get the next 6 things done, and and a friend would see you like that, they'd say, take a break, just put things aside and take a break. You'll feel so much better afterwards, after a good night's sleep. So speaking to yourself how you would speak to a friend really brings in that sense of self-compassion, and kind of gives you that permission in an easier way than actually giving you permission. It's a bit of a mind trick there.
Yeah, it helps the busy leader who tends to think that self-care is selfish. to relax from that kind of expectation and that unconscious pressure that we put on ourselves.
Yeah. Eric, what would you say to someone who says, but it just 5 minutes just really doesn't feel like enough time. I don't think it's worth it.
Well, don't take our word for it. Try it. I think one of the things we encourage our clients to do, and perhaps if they're skeptical, is rather than seek to agree with us, experiment and see what works for you. It might be that you feel that you're really busy. If I cast my mind back 10 years ago, I think I would have thought this as well. That I don't even have 2 minutes in my day to take out. But I think, as I've been practicing this discipline of giving myself permission and catching those moments when I notice my mood changing or I need a break, to actually think about and even say out loud sometimes, give myself permission to take a moment out. It really does shift you out of that doing mentality into one where you're looking after how you show up in the world. It changes the way we relate to other people, how we lead. And so these moments of self-care, and it could be going out for a 2-minute walk, are really transformational. But as I said, that's my experience, and we really encourage people who are showing up today to try it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Eric. And yeah, I think just to sum it up, and we're happy to take any questions if they come up, but we really encourage the audience to try it out. And if you're listening to this recording, also take some time, write a few things down that really make you happy, and take some time tomorrow, just 5 minutes, and see what it does to your day. And yeah, and this is, I think, especially for people who are incredibly busy, you like to be productive. It's very difficult to get pulled away from that to-do list, but it can really impact your health and well-being, and also that sense of innovation and creativity that comes to your workplace if you do take some time out. So I encourage you to take 5 minutes a day, and not only for yourself, but you can also give it to others. Gift the permission to others and the people around you, and see what that does for your work and for your relationship with them. So yeah, looking forward to hearing what people's experiences are with it. And Eric, I know you wanted to share what's coming up for us.
Yeah, so whilst people can put into chat any questions that they want to ask us, or observations they've got, perhaps it's some doubts about how this can work, please put them into chat and we'll come to them in just a moment. I just want to share with you something that Laura and I, Will and Laura, are really excited about. We've got a program launching in the middle of March, on the 15th of March. It's called Challenging Conversations, because we've seen with leaders like you, when we're working from home, working remotely, it's really difficult to have authentic conversations that create trust and connection. And I've spoken to lots of leaders who've been in that invidious position of, having to let team members go during the pandemic and not having that ability to connect to them in the way that you can do so when you're in person. And even when you are in person, those conversations can actually feel really awkward, that sort of tension rising in you. And it's not just the that human resources angle, it's all kinds of conversations that we have at work, whether it's performance, whether it's asking for something that you want and saying what you really mean. And these conversations can be really challenging. And so we've created this program, and Laura, one of our co-founders, is the brains behind it. And what we're really looking to do is help you have those tools at your disposal, those skills, so that, like a tennis player playing a forehand, when it really counts, when you're in those difficult moments, how to handle and master those difficult conversations. And it really starts with you. And we talked about, not directly, but we talked about awareness today, and having the awareness to take yourself out of the to-do list, out of that sense of doing things, and really tuning into how you feel, how you are going outside for that 5 minutes or even 2 minutes. That's really one of the foundations that we're bringing with Well Leaders. It's really that health and well-being angle to help transform your leadership. So I think Lauren is going to post into chat a link where if you register, we'll show you in 5 emails how to uncover the secrets of trust and connection. You can build those into your daily and weekly routines right away. And we'll also give you some information about the program that starts on the 15th of March.
Great, thanks for sharing that, Eric. And I see Francis and Craig have put some comments in the chat that I think we can respond to too. And the one from Craig is another issue is that it takes a long time to get back into something, especially if it's creative, if I get interrupted. And Francis says that her to-do list is her inbox to a large extent. Perhaps another topic for us to discuss another day. Yeah, I think you're probably very good, Francis, at replying to emails, and people know that you're so capable at providing good responses, and they probably just email you even more and more and more. I saw a post about that too. You become really good at something, and people start relying on you, so they send you more and more emails. And then, of course, it's terrible because you have an inbox stumped with lots of emails to get through. And yeah, I think then giving yourself permission to let some of those emails go, even if it's a 10% rate where you just don't see them, that's okay too. If it's important enough, they'll email you again.
And there's another message that came in from Craig about how long it takes to get back into something, especially if it's creative, when you get interrupted. And it's really difficult for our brains to switch from task to task, or even the distraction of a mobile phone, even if the screen isn't showing to us. The fact that it's there is a distraction to our brain. And it takes, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it takes sort of about 8 minutes to refocus on something when our attention's been distracted. So whether that's answering a call or looking at your emails, if you've been doing something else, it takes our brains lots of energy. So if you've noticed at the end of the day, you feel tired, one of the things you might turn to, and we've got lots of ways of helping energy levels sustain through the day through some pillars of health, but one of them is task switching. And if you've done well when it comes to all your food, your movement, sleeping, managing your stress and your environmental factors, task switching is one to look at. And I don't know whether you've heard of it, Craig. There's a great book called Deep Work, and it really goes into the science and really practical tips about how to avoid that task switching. And you won't be surprised to hear that it's about how to achieve that space for deep work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I think that's a topic for another discussion, Eric. I'm sure we could talk lots about this.
We are going to close off here. We're giving you half an hour than the amount of time we billed for today. So perhaps there's a few 5-minute slots you can take for yourselves to perhaps go outside and do something that makes you happy.
Thank
you, everyone, for joining. We'll see you again very soon for another live conversation. Do register interest for how you can create trust and connection in your team, one conversation at a time. And we'll see you soon. Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks, Eric. Bye, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.